say that good things come in small packages. Well, that's not always true. Introducing the Millennium Sapphire, the largest cut blue sapphire in the world, 61,500 carats. And that's not even what makes it special. I can already see people making changes to their birthday wishes. Discover the value of your story. So this award lets me know that Bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao, hola, bienvenue, bienvenidos, namaste, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemmological storyteller. And each week, I have the privilege and the honor of taking you on an adventure to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I take the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and put it all together into a story. What I've learned over the years and what I learn each and every week I do this show is that so many of the characteristics, the traits, the attributes that we so highly value in gemstones, you can find in people. You can find in yourself. So what I do is I take those gem stories and use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help you, to empower you, to hopefully remind you of the value of your own stories. I know that we're having a little technical problems with the internet, so just gonna keep on going. All right, thank you, Barbara. All right, no, not yet. Okay. Actually, thank you, Barbara. When I've been working on this show in my mind for 20 years. 20 years. The first time I went to a jewelry show was in, I think, 2007. 2007, when I started Gemmology, 2004. So 2007, I went to the Las Vegas jewelry show. And the Las Vegas show, a lot of you are familiar with the Tucson show. The Tucson show is basically for everybody. The whole planet goes to the Tucson show. But the Las Vegas show is really for the dealers, for wholesalers, for people who own jewelry businesses, things like this. So myself and my business partner at the time, Cosette, we went to the Las Vegas show. And that was my first time ever going to a jewelry show. So you can imagine how excited I was. So we went to the show and you had to go through all kinds of paperwork and everything else. And there were hundreds, thousands of people there. And needless to say, there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me there. I think I was there for maybe 2 days. I saw maybe 5 people of color other than people of Indian descent. No, very few African Americans. So, so 2 things that happened to me there that really just started me on the direction that I'm in, that I've been for the last 3 years with this show, and even before then. I was walking down the Cosette and I were walking down the various. It was a huge. Of course, it's a conference hall. It was huge, hundreds and hundreds of vendors talking about different colored gemstones, different diamonds, different techniques, everything else. And we're walking down, and we got to the point where I got distracted, so I went to the left, and Cosette went to the right. Cosette was my business partner, and as we were walking down the street, actually we was walking together at that point. And this guy comes up to me, this guy, white guy comes up to me, and I knew he was moving towards me, but I thought it was to ask a question or something along those lines. And what he did was he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, he's coming close. I'm like, what does this guy want? Expecting a question. And he literally took his finger, I had a polo shirt on, he took his finger and he ran his finger down my arm. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a tan. That's what he said. And I was like, wow. You thought it was a tan. Of course, this was my first experience. So I didn't know really what to do. I know what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to go to jail. So I said, okay. Maybe 15 minutes later, after the whole thing was, that's when Cosette and I were walking, and I went to the left. She went to the right. There was 2 different aisles. And I went down the left, and I'm looking at the gemstones. And then all of a sudden I hear Cosette scream out, oh my God. So based on what I was already experiencing, what I had just experienced 20 minutes, half an hour beforehand, I'm on full. I'm like, okay, here it is. This is it. We're ready to fight. Sergeant Mixon came back. I'm ready to do. So I run over there and I said, what's going on? Like literally thinking to myself, who do I take out first? And then that's when she said, no, look. And there was this absolutely gorgeous aquamarine. I had never seen an aquamarine like that before. And I was like, oh my God. But my first thought was, you called me, you screamed, you called me like something's wrong. You mean to tell me that why did you call me like this you did all that over a color? And then that's when this big white guy came out from nowhere, which actually kind of shocked me. He came out from nowhere and literally looked me in my eye and said, young man, as he's looking me up and down, color is everything. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember kind of laughing inside to myself thinking like, hello, I kind of been wearing the color my whole life. I know what you're talking about. Literally in my head, the first thing I thought was, I know. I just wish you told him that 15, 20 minutes earlier. And that's when I began to really understand, at least to start to understanding the difference in color. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, let's create a different story about color. Because as a person of color, as an African American, it's really amazing to me how we look at color in the gemology world. And yet we live in a world where people have challenges with color. I mean, when you study gemology, here I brought out these are some of the books. These are some of the books. These are just 2 of the binders. This is just from GIA. This is the Gemmological Institute of America. These are the two binders that you have to learn, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Then, of course, you have Gem Identification, which is a whole big book talking about color. And when you talk about color, of course, we were talking about the 4 C's. Last week, we talked about the 4 C's. We've been talking about the 4 C's. We talked about cut. Last two episodes, we were talking about cut. We talked about clarity. We talked about carrot, which great. But then you talk about color. And the way color is portrayed in the gemology world, in the gemstone world, it's just one of the attributes. But what I'm saying to you is when you look at the history of the world, you're not talking about color like that. You're talking about color. Color. Because think about it. Think about it. You know what? You know how you watch movies of pirate ships or ships from the 15th, 16th, 17th century? Let me explain to you, if you don't already know, what the difference of those ships were. Most of us, when we think of ships, we think of galleons. We think about galleons. We think about Spanish galleons. Spanish galleons was one of those huge ships, the multi-deck ships. They were basically armed cargo carriers. That's what they were. They were armed cargo carriers. So yes, they carried cargo, and they went all around basically protecting the color, the gemstones, the gold, the silver that they got from whatever country, South America, Central America, China, wherever they got the gemstone from, that's what they used. Now, but that was what they armed. That's what they protected. Armed cargo carrier. You got to think, 16, 17, we didn't have armored trucks. You had galleons. This was used. This was the primary thing used to protect color. What we normally think of, so this is what a galleon looks like. 3 to 4 masts, huge, nice cargo bay, big ships, huge ship. Got about 200 guys on this ship. Hold that thought for a second. 200 men on a ship. There you go. Then they have what's called a carrack. A carrack is a different kind of ship. Actually, galleons came after carracks. So first it was galleons. I just put that first because that's what you think of. But the main ships that carried all the stuff was called the carrack. The carrack were these ships. The carrack, think of the carrack was basically big, giant tractor trailer trucks. Big, giant tractor trailer trucks. So you had the galleon that had a pretty good cargo hold. A galleon could carry somewhere around 500 tons. But a carrack could carry up to 200,000 tons of whatever you would carry. Mostly gemstones, gold, platinum, silver, and slaves. And I love the way they put, so carracks came from the Portuguese. The carracks came from the Portuguese. And then they started there, and they were first used for European trade. They were used for trade in Europe, and also in the Mediterranean. That's what carracks was used for. And one of the ways that's interesting that gemstone books or gemology or really history talks about this period of time is read how that I put it in red just to let you know. I'm reading about the carracks, and it says quickly found use with the newly found wealth of the trade between Europe and Africa. So let's put it together. You're talking about big cargo ships, bigger than the galleons, big cargo ships that can carry hundreds of thousands of tons of cargo. And those ships were used trade between Europe and Africa. And we also know that when you're talking about Africa, you're not just talking about gemstones. You're not just talking about metals. You're talking about people. For those of you who don't know, who understand about the Atlantic slave trade, this is the ship that they used. They were slave ships. The Santa Maria was a carrack. The Santa Maria, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the ships that Columbus had, the Santa Maria was the guy. That was the cargo ship. Whatever he was going to bring back, that's what he was going to bring it back on. These were the slave ships. Then you had the caravel. The caravel was the lighter ships. Those were the beginning ships. Though also was made by Portuguese, but mostly that ship was to transfer things within the Mediterranean. They weren't used for open sea sailing. It was highly maneuverable, small ships, fast ships, and they were used to explore. Remember, think about your map. You got France, you got Spain, Portugal, and then right down below is Africa. So the Portuguese would use these ships to travel down the coast of Africa. That's when the west coast of Africa, that's when they found the slaves. So in the beginning, it was a trading thing. We'll trade salt for gold. We'll trade salt for this gemstone things. So that's what these were. The Nina was basically a caravel. The Nina was a caravel. The Nina and the Pinta were caravel. They were in fact, the Nina was Columbus's favorite ship. In Portuguese, it's called the caravela. The caravela. Okay, that's what the caravel is. Thank you, Barbara. And they did all this to find gold. And what I want you to do is, I drop my face down because when I want you to understand color. I want you to see what color is. So they did this to find gold. So think about it. These ships were used to travel across the ocean to get something of color. And when they got there, they found people of color. And because of the way the world works, I'm not just talking about people who look like me. I'm talking about Hispanic people, Latin American people. I'm talking about Native American, Caribbean, Mexican, South American people who are people of color, African people. So they took these ships to travel across the ocean to get color. I promise you, no politics. I don't care where you're from, where your politics is. That's what happened. You got on the ship to go to get color. So why we have a problem with color? Why? So we need to create a different conversation about color. Because let me give you an example. Emeralds. People, raise your hand if you like emeralds. Of course, I can't see you, but raise your hand if you like emeralds. Emeralds. There we go. Now, excuse me. Anyhow, emeralds. Now, when most people think about emeralds, they think about somewhere else. But guess what? This is an emerald. This is an emerald, right? Aluminum, beryllium, silicate. That's what an emerald is. And when most people think about emeralds, they think about somewhere else. But guess what? There's emeralds right in North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an emerald mine right in North Carolina. In fact, it's a place called Hiddenite. Hiddenite. Think about the irony of that word. Hiddenite, North Carolina. This is the name. It's called the Emerald Hollow Mine, North Carolina. This is the page from their website. Emerald Hollow Mine. I know some of you guys are like, what? Yeah, right in North Carolina. Right there, I-95. You can get right down there. And this is their first page. The Emerald Hollow Mine is the only emerald mine in the world open to the public for prospecting. Nestled in the foothills, the beautiful foothills of the Brushy Mountains located in Hiddenite, North Carolina. This is recognized as one of the most unique and interesting geological locations in North America. Now, there's not going to be a beeline for people traveling down North Carolina, traveling down I-95 to get to North Carolina. You know why? Because that's not the gemstones you want. Those are not the gemstones. The ones from North Carolina. Yes, they are emeralds. They are green. They are emeralds. But that's not the ones you want. You want the ones from Colombia. Yeah. You want the ones from Colombia because the ones from Colombia are emeralds, but they're different. These are the ones from Colombia. These are the ones. This is what you want. You want the emeralds from Colombia because the geological things that happen in Colombia, although similar to what happened millions of years ago with North Carolina, but those same gemmological processes, the pressure, the heat, where it came up from, created an emerald, aluminum beryllium silicate, an emerald that is just like identifies as an emerald, but it's different. It's different. This is the emerald that you want. You don't want the emerald. You're not going to find an emerald like this in North Carolina. You're only going to find this in Colombia. So the question is, as I'm reading this, the question is, if you readily accept that there is a emerald, a type of emerald from a different location in the world that is different than the emerald that's located right here in the United States, I can drive to North Carolina. It would take a whole lot of money, plane time to go to Colombia. But I would not to mention the sailors that literally got on that galleon, got on that boat. Think about it. They got on that boat 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. 100 guys, ladies, I'm talking to you. Really think about it. 100 funky, nasty guys who didn't brush their teeth. Who, if you got kids, ladies, you got people, you got kids, you got teenage boys that, socks and stuff. Imagine being on a ship for 2-3 months with a bunch of guys, not even family members, mostly bunch of guys, no hygiene, going to the bathroom on a plank. You know why the bathrooms are called the head, at least in the Marine Corps? Because that's where the bathroom was. It was in the bow of the ship, the front of the ship, the head of the ship. And you just sat down with all your friends and you did your business. And you risked all of that. 2-3 months on the ocean. Bad food, scurvy, or dysentery, all kinds of stuff going on for color because you had to get that color. But yet, here's the trick. You did all of that. Travel the ocean. Once you got to the place, you had to find the gemstones. You had to fight the indigenous people. You had to fight the indigenous animals. You had to climb mountains, streams, all kinds of things. You had to go through all of that and to find an emerald. And because an emerald is a beryl, that means that wherever you found an emerald on that quality, that means you're going to find its friends. You're going to find aquamarine there because an aquamarine is a beryl. You're going to find heliodor because heliodor is also a beryl. Yeah. You're going to find, this is heliodor. You're going to find morganite, the pink beryl. Why? Because it's a beryl, because of the conditions that exist that made the emerald is what made this morganite. Beautiful, beautiful stone. Even if, in fact, you have places in the world where the environment where there is emeralds are being made, you have some emeralds that have nothing in it. This is an emerald without something in it. Yeah, without chromium, without iron, without magnesium, without these things in it. This is what it looks like when it's just aluminum, beryllium, silicate with nothing in it. This is what it looks like. So the question is, if we value gemstones that come highly value gemstones, emeralds in this case, because of where they come from. You go to Tiffany's, she's not going to show you an emerald guaranteed that came from North Carolina. Nope. She's going to show you an emerald that came from Colombia. And he's going to sit there and say, Madame, Monsieur, Emerald. And you're going to say, wow, how much does that cost? Madame, the first thought is, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. But let's say this is a different thing. Madame, this piece right here is $50,000. And you go, oh, wow, okay, that's a deal. But yet you can accept that, but you can't accept color coming from a place where there's people that don't look like that. That you accept an emerald that comes from a place because you know that that place produces a certain quality of color, but you can't respect the people, or you have a problem with the people who actually come from that area, and because of the sun and because of the food and because of the geological things going on, the environment they grew up, they have color. Why? Why, if you come from Venezuela, Colombia, wherever the places where major gemstones are made, huge gemstones are made, costing thousands of dollars. If you say you have a gemstone coming from Colombia, an emerald, a sapphire, aquamarine, heliodor, any of those, you know you're spending money. But yet somehow or other, the people who have color, who just happen to come from that area, don't have the same value. Why? Turquoise. Turquoise is the color because of what? Aluminum, copper and aluminum. That's what makes turquoise's color. Turquoise is found all over the world. All over the world. The reason why it's called turquoise, because it's called turquoise, it comes from the French turquoise, which basically means Turkish, because the way the Europeans got to topaz, turquoise, is because of the Muslims, the whole, basically the Silk Road. So when travelers was coming from Iraq, Afghanistan, that's where the best turquoise was coming from. So Turkish in that part of the world, it was, the whole Ottoman Empire, that was from Turkey. So that's why they called it turquoise. Yeah. So you accept it coming from there, but why don't you accept that it comes from places like this? This is where you find gemstones. If you told your friend, where do you live? Oh, I live at the bottom of the valley. What? You live at the bottom of the valley? Really? That would be the bad section of town. Where's Barry live? Oh, Barry lives, that big giant hole in the ground? Yeah, he lives there. Okay. You go to places like this to find things like this, but you can because you want a diamond that looks like this, but you can't accept people that come from those places. You can't accept people that come from places. That's all. So let's have a different conversation about color. Why? Why do we have, and the beautiful thing about gemology is, I don't care where you're from listening to the sound of my voice right now. I don't care where you're from. Wherever you're from, when you see this stone, you sit there and go, wow. You're not asking where this comes from. You're not asking what was the neighborhood that this stone came from. You're not asking that. All you see is color. If that is your color, here's aquamarine. Here's aquamarine. Here's aquamarine. What the color? This is aquamarine. So when you right now, when you're looking at this stone, when you're salivating on this stone, you don't know where this stone comes from. You have no idea who dug this stone up. What was the environment? All you know, you don't even know why it's that color. You just know that color. You know that this creates this. You don't know where the gold came from. You don't know where the diamonds came from. The diamonds come from. It could come from Canada. It could come from South America. It could come from Russia. We ain't exactly in the United States. We're not getting along with Russia right now. But guess what? Guess who cuts your diamonds? Guess where diamonds come from? There's whole mines in Russia. Mm-hmm. Not to mention gold. Yeah. But yet we have a problem with color. That's the thing that got to me as I'm going through all these books. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on a second here. How come my color, somehow it's devalued because of my color. There's people, I don't like you because of your fill in the blank, because I don't want you to think it's just me. Fill in the blank. We don't like you because you come from that place. That place. That place. But yet you have no problems with it with gemstones. You have no problem with it. Most of you are wearing, most of you guarantee, what, 98%, 99% of the gemstones that you're wearing, unless you bought it somewhere, as I'm just saying in America, unless you bought it somewhere in a mine or just in a certain location, more than likely you got it from somewhere else. It was imported. It's an immigrant. It's an immigrant. And you bought it because of the color. So let's have a different conversation about color. These are diamonds. White, pink, blue, yellow, red, gray. And each one of these diamonds come from the same species. The same species. Every last one. There were 6 of them, 7 of them. 7 diamonds. And they all have the exact same molecular structure. Period. Done. They do the same. They have the exact same hardness. 10. They do the exact same thing potentially with light, depending on how it's cut, how it's fashioned, how it's polished, how it's put together. These are all diamonds, and they could come from anywhere. You never ask questions about that, ever. Because why? Because the value is already assumed because it's a diamond. So therefore, voila. You bring home a pink diamond to your partner, I guarantee you, I will bet you all the money in the world. The first thing that your woman, your man is not going to say is, baby, where'd you get this from? Because I don't wear diamonds that come from, Namibia. I don't want a Nambian diamond. Is it from Australia? Because I only want an Australian pink diamond. Nobody's going to say ever. All you see is the color. So let's have a different combination. Let's have a different conversation about color. Let's begin to look at, if you're going to judge someone based on the color of their skin, then let's put it on the same level that you would this. You wouldn't mind being purple. Like the people from Avatar, you wouldn't mind being purple if this is what you look like. If people regarded you in the same way they regard this, just look at it. Those of you born in February, those of you who like purple, look at that. Look at that. Look at the grading. Look at the shading. Look at the way the color evolves from the bottom all the way to the top. Look at it. And not only did someone cut this, because it didn't come out of the ground looking like this. Someone cut it. This is why we talked about cut. Someone saw the potential of it. Of all the amethysts, because amethyst, there's nothing about amethyst that's rare. In fact, amethyst, remember about 6 months ago, we did a whole show on the cardinal gemstones, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires. Well, amethyst used to be one of those cardinal gemstones. You know why it's not a cardinal gemstone anymore? You know why people consider it semi-precious? Because in the 19th century, they found a whole bunch of amethysts, so therefore the value went down. Like, everybody has it now. So the value wasn't just for the kings and queens and the emperors of Europe in different countries. Everybody can wear it. Some of you guys, a lot of you who watch this show have geomes. I think about Rose Swartz, my friend Rose Swartz. Rose has a whole collection. I would love to go to her house just to see her. Dr. Santi has a whole collection of gemstones. Yeah. So a lot of you have these gemstones in your house and you value them. You put them in special places in your house. You understand. We won't even talk about the metaphysical aspects of it. You just know what it does. So someone saw that and said, yeah, okay. Color. Look at it. Look at that. There's people that we know in the world that this is the color of their skin. They are this color. They are this color. Whether they got tan, whether it's genetics. There's supermodels that they are highly paid because their complexion is this color. So why do you have a problem with people who just happen to be born in a place like this gemstone just happen to be created? The chemicals, the molecular things that needed to put this together was there. Someone saw the potential of it, cut it in such a way so that when you saw this gemstones interacts with the light in a particular way because of someone saw that, someone found it, someone understood the value of it before it was even cut. They said, you know what? Oh my God, this is it. This is it. What you got there? You see this stone? Yeah. Watch and see what I make of this. Someone did this. Why can't we consider each other this? And I'm talking about everybody. Everybody. That's why I'm just showing you gemstone. I don't care what color you are. There is a gemstone that correlates to you. There is a gemstone that correlates to your characteristics. Diamonds. You like diamonds? Cool. I love diamonds. Diamonds are wonderful. The only thing about a diamond is the hardest substance in the world, but a diamond is also brittle. If you hit this diamond in a specific plane, this diamond has what's called perfect cleavage. It will break. It will break right where you put it. Crack, boom, break. That's how they cut diamonds. That's how diamonds are cut. So again, and I've said this before, if you have a business and you say to yourself, well, I want to be a diamond, and nothing wrong with diamonds. We had this discussion, of course. Barbara, my executive producer, her business is the Diamond Factor Network, Diamond Factor Experience. So there are wonderful qualities about diamonds, but there are things about diamonds that people know. So therefore, if you say that you're a diamond, then understand that diamonds come in every color of the rainbow, and they have specific characteristics that make them a diamond. So I'm gonna take a deep breath for a second, and I'll come here and we'll continue this conversation when we come back from the other side. That's why I tell you I have the best executive producer in the world. Because yes, tomorrow is Pearl Harbor Day. The I forgot what year, but well, December 7th, 1941. And when that happened, we as Americans came together. As Americans, we were a species. We were American. Nobody was talking about why. I mean, there was that going on. But in the war, in the military, we're one color. In fact, I got in trouble. I went into not the brig, but I had to do mess duty for a whole entire month because I was there during the Iranian hostage crisis. And when the Ayatollah had said, well, we're gonna let the women and the black people go because what they have gone through, I was in the ready room. Literally, I was a corporal then, and I was in the ready room. Aviation. I was in the ready room getting ready for this mission because it was supposed to be a Marine Corps op at first. But then when the Ayatollah said that, I was stupid enough to say out loud, well, crisis is over because I'm black. So I'm like, it's over for me. And this colonel came up to me. Oh my God, you're talking about having your head taken off. Like literally, he told me, he said, what are you talking about, Marine? There's only two colors in this thing. There's only either your dark green or your light green. Yeah. If you're going to talk about color, When you're fighting with someone, when you're standing in that fighting hole, we don't have foxholes in the Marine Corps. We have fighting holes. When you're sitting in that fighting hole and I'm with my boy Charlie, okay, and Charlie happened to be white and I'm black, we not talking about, well, Charlie, I'm not gonna protect you because you're a white dude. We're Marines. We didn't care about colors. We wore the uniform. This was the uniform. If you're an opal, that's your uniform. That's your uniform. If you're going to talk about color, then let's talk about colors. Let's talk about colors. Those are Tahitian pearls. Those are Tahitian pearls. Those pearls cost thousands of dollars. That's a $60,000, $80,000 string of pearls. Look at the colors. The black, the gray, the gold, the rust, the green, the silver, all of the colors. How do we live in a country? How do we live in a world where we have problems with color when everything we do is color? The whole history of mankind is color. And in gemology, we never talk about that. We never say, well, you don't want that black gemstone. You don't want that white gemstone. You don't want that red gemstone because, it's red. You don't want that gemstone that has that, that line in the middle. You don't want that. You don't want that because, it has those structures in the middle that create that line. So when you shine light on it, it moves. It comes in it moves in a straight line. Oh, you mean a moonstone? Yeah. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. Oh, well, it's nice. It's pretty. It got that dark mark right there. It got stuff in it. It got stuff in it. Why is it not blue all the No. You would consider it a badge of honor. If you're the person in your life, if you bought it for yourself, if you bought that gemstone, if you bought that, you would wear it proudly because of the color. So how do we have a discussion? Why can't we create a different conversation about color? Because we already know. We already know. Obviously, guess what? If you bought this, there's Republicans that bought that stone. There's Democrats that bought that stone. There's independents that bought that stone. There's agnostic people that bought that stone. But we won't even talk about Christianity or religions that buy into this stone. This is a garnet. This is the state stone for New York. This is a state stone in New York. There's a whole region of New York that has garnets just like this. Just like this. And if you bought that stone, you would dare someone to talk about, it's red. And if you don't like red, that's the thing that really trips me out. There's some of us who don't like people or don't like someone because of the color of their skin, or you won't deal with somebody because they happen to be with somebody who has a different color than what you normally get. But guess what? In gemology, if you don't like red, okay. You like my ring? Well, yeah, that's beautiful. You like ruby? Nah, I really don't like red stones, but I appreciate the fact that you do. Why can't we do that with each other? Why can't we do that with each other? Why can't we, if we're going to appreciate color, then let's appreciate color. If you're going to appreciate the difference, the inclusions, look at all these inclusions right here. Look at all these little crystalline bubbles right here. It's clear here. So whoever cut the gemstone, whoever cut it in such a way where those inclusions in it didn't take away from the overall beauty of this stone. Didn't take away from it. All you saw is this. All you saw, he thought about it. She thought about it. They cut it in a way to manifest the color. So how and included the things that make it different. That make it different. You included it. You factored that in. Why can't we do that with each other? There are people who live in this. You can't get this anywhere. Wherever you live, here's your homework assignment today. Go outside, go outside your house and find this. Go to the park. It's not gonna be right in front of your door. I got you. I'm not gonna make it really hard. Let's make it easier. Go to the park. Go to the forest. Go to some place where there's a lot of dirt and everything else has field, and see if you can find this. See if you can find this. No, you can't. Why? Because this only comes from a certain place. It only comes from a certain geographical location. That's where so therefore, if that is the case for that gemstone, then what do you think is the case for the people who just happen to look like that? But yet we live in a world where we got problems with color. And notice, I'm not talking about black, white, red, blue, green, whatever color you are, every gemstone has a color for you. Some of them like tourmaline, this is the gemstone for this month, tourmaline. Man, tourmaline has all the colors, all of them. And yet nobody ever say, well, where's it from? What's the chemical composition of this? Some of you looking at this like that and go, wow. And the only reason it got from that, the only reason that happened is because it grew up somewhere where that can happen. It would need, this is a rough stone, so it would need someone who saw the potential of that. Maybe you like that lighting, the lighter color there. That person would see the potential and accents that. Maybe that person, your mom, your dad, your uncle, or somebody would cut that stone in such a way where you accents more of the color. Maybe. Once you understood how that gemstone interacts with the light, then you would do something to make it where the color came out. Tell me why we have a problem with color. The whole history of mankind revolves around color. Those guys got on that ship 200 funky 200, you know what I want to say. 200, this is a family show. 200 funky, nasty guys got on a ship, couldn't clean their clothes. They couldn't even take baths because water was just for cooking and not even drinking. It was for cooking. And yet, because that's where they would drink, the whole ho in a bottle of rum, because that's what they drank. So you got 100, 200 guys trapped in working all the time, sweating and blooding and fighting and all this other kind of stuff, just for the opportunity to touch something of color, to find something of color. This is a Burmese ruby. This is a Burmese ruby. This is the finest ruby that you get. This is called pigeon blood red. Pigeon blood red. If you have an emerald if you have a ruby like this, oh, you paid lots of money for that. You paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and it comes from Burmese. So it comes from Burma, which has all kinds of challenges and political things and everything going on. But yet you never asked that question when you went to Tiffany's. Never. Not even a thought. Not even a thought. Baby, baby, I know you love me. I know you love me and everything. But does that come from Burma? Well, yeah, baby. The jewelry man said it was. Well, I don't want that because never thought about that. People who are that color brought mine. That's the thing. Not only does it come from Burma or some Indonesian country or some African country, and not only does it come from that, but the people who dug it up more than likely looked something like that. Browns and reds and golds. Yeah, look at that. There you go. There you go. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me that's a democratic stone. Go ahead. Tell me that's a ruby stone. Go ahead and tell me that that's it comes from a red state or left wing or a right wing ideology. Tell me, please. Somebody put a comment. Tell me. You can't. And 9 times out of 10, your religion, whatever you into, more than likely, They got a gemstone. This is peridot. Guess where peridot was? Oh, in the Bible, I forgot the scripture. In the Bible, the breastplate of Aaron had that gemstone. That's called a peridot. That's the same gemstone that Cleopatra had. Yeah, yeah. Tell me. So if we're going to grade, if we're going to evaluate gemstones, if we're going to say, well, this is an emerald that comes from Colombia, one of those countries that someone said that, is like one of those S countries. If it comes from one of those S countries, and that gemstone was dug up by some of those people who live in that S country, why don't those people, if you value that gemstone that comes from that country, that was dug up by people that live in that country, why can't you value the people that come from that country that dug that up? You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're not even going to go to North Carolina to get this. What's it called? The mine, the hidden night. You now forever know that there's an emerald mine in North Carolina. Go get it. Go get yourself one. Go get your bucket and pail and go get your diamond. Or you can go to Tiffany's and whatever and buy this. You can buy this, and it was dug up by people of color in their country, where everybody in that country has a certain color because of where they're from. This is jade, the gem of heaven, according to Asian people, the stone of heaven. Yeah. So why are we hating people that come from that place in the world if this is what they produce for thousands of years? But for thousands of years, they understood. They knew what this was about. Why? Why? Opals. This is the black opal. An opal, this quality comes from Australia. The same Australia that the Aborigines, the indigenous people in Australia, this is what they grew up with. This is their gemstone. So if you took a boat, a galleon, and it took something like to go from England to Australia, it took somewhere around 9 months. 9 months, not on the Princess Cruise Line, not on Royal Caribbean, not on none of those boats. A galleon, a correct. You went 9 months with a bunch of funky guys that most of you didn't even like. You wanted to kill each other. 9 months just for the opportunity to touch something of color. So we need to create a new conversation about color. How can you be white in a gemstone, but yet how does white have a different meaning when you didn't have a different meaning for that gemstone that you bought for your wife? How does red, blue, green? How do those colors mean something with people when it doesn't mean something in gemstones? When it's highly valued in gemstones. Look at that. Raspberry. How many people that you know have a kind of a raspberry type of personality? Their energy is red. The way they dress, the way they wear their makeup, the way they wear their hair, and everything was raspberry. But yet, if you saw a funky, this is a diamond. If you saw a funky colored diamond like this, you'd be like, "Girl, that is beautiful! Oh my God!" But yet, we have a problem. He's a conservative. Here's your conservative, just blue, clean, just blue. There we go. Look at the richness of the clue. So the people that you have in your life who are just like boom, just beautiful, elegant, nothing kind of crazy, fancy like this, just conservative. That this comes from somewhere. Where the environment, where they grew up, where their education, their training, everything created this within inside themselves. So why do we have a problem with somebody be based on their color? Black. Hello? Black. This is a black diamond. This is a black diamond. Why do we have problems with people who happen to be this color? From the Sudan, where it's really where people's complexions are really dark. Where do you think they come from? Diamonds just like, let me see what kind of diamonds. No, it was just that when that carbon came together, the heat and the pressure of that guy, and along with the colors that made that diamond. It made it that color. So why can't we give people of color the same level of respect wherever they come from? Wherever that came from. All you know it's blue. All you know it's beautiful. All you know is that you want one. All you know that you're willing to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months salary to get that gemstone. Why? Yeah. Thank you, Barbara. So, lesson for today is to look at the people in your life. Let not forget people in your life. Look at people. Let me make it a real simple species for you. Human beings. That's the species. If you look up the book, it says human beings, and then it would say human beings come in a variety of different colors. White, black, brown, copper, mahogany, yellow, red. And then you would read, if it was a gemstone book, you would read that species of gemstone called human being, and it would list the chemical compositions of human beings, what it's structurally made of. Most human beings have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears. And then it would list all the characteristics of that species called human beings. And if you were a gemologist, a humologist, studying human beings, you would know the difference between a human being and a Martian. Because I'm sure, because where Mars is, the gravity and everything else, they would be different. So you would judge a human being versus the Martian based on their characteristics. If we were gemstones, why can't we do the same thing with each other? So that's your homework assignment. Look at people the way you would a gemstone. And I think if you do, you'll see more beauty in the world. You'll see how their differences, where they're from, how are they raised, their education, how they put together their cut. Then you would appreciate the value of their story. So, notice, whole time, nothing. Please write me a comment if you can come up with anything argumentative about what I said. If you look at it just as a gemstone. So until next week, my name is Barry B. Mixon. I am a gemstone or whatever color you want me to be. I am a gemmological storyteller. And what I want to do is help people all over the world discover the value of their own stories. So until next week, au revoir, atatella, voila. There are over 100 different gemstones that come in the color of green. Diamonds, emeralds, jade, even sapphire. But peridot is the only gemstone that comes in one color, green, from a beautiful yellowish green to the most highly valued olive green. So if you know someone who loves the color green, peridot might be the stone for you. Discover the value of your story.